With the teddy bear basics, you will be able to make many different teddy bears. For any project at Dawn's Loom Knitting, you will need a pair of scissors, a crochet hook, a blunt end needle, a loom hook, a nifty knitter long loom, the pink 26 peg size, the yellow 38 peg size, the green 50 peg size, or the 62 peg size, which is blue, the loom clips.
First thing we do is put this little loop here. You put the yarn around it, making sure the top one goes over the bottom, and that'll hold it while you do, and you don't have to keep holding it. First time around, and we're doing just one leg, so this is half of it, coming in from one side and going 5 pegs down on each side. This is the only one you do the E-loop on. And then the next time around, you'll do the straight stitch, which is a basic stitch for any stuffed animal or stuffed toy. And when you go around the end, you can do all 3 of them at once, because each one of those is a curve. And then you keep going around with a straight stitch. The straight stitch simply means that you just go push down the top one, bring it across, and bring the bottom one over. Push it down, bring it across, bring it over. Push it down, bring it across, bring it over. And like I said earlier, when you go around the end, you can do 3 of them at a time. Just push them all down. Each one of those is a curve, so it'll work. And then you go around and you put each one of them over. And then you go on to down this side with a straight stitch. Push it down, bring the top of the loop over, and bring it across. And over, across. And on the end here, you can still do the same. Now this time though, we're bringing a straight stitch over the straight stitch, because this is the one underneath and not the E-loop. And that's the way you end up doing it all the way across. Now, each row as I go around, I incorporate this tail we started with in. And so the first one I incorporate in this peg right here, and I bring it up through. The next time around, I'll bring it up through this one, and then the next one up through this one. And that's how you get started with a straight stitch. Okay, I've gone 3 times around now, plus these other 3 loops. And now I'm going to incorporate this into the 3rd row. But you do it differently. You do it, keep wrapping it around this peg. If you have about the right amount of tail left, you can do this about 4 times. That's the 2nd time I've looped it around. Bring it up through the groove, around back up through the groove. That's the 4th time, and I'm going to be able to do it 5th time. And if you want to, you can take that little piece and cut it off, but I don't. I leave it on. It's on the inside anyway. And then you go right on around. You're going to do 14 rows now, until you're through with this leg and ready to start on the other one. And so, counting those, you've got the 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then do up to 13, and then we'll be able to cinch that off, but we're ready to start on the next row. Okay, we're getting ready for the 2nd leg now. I've cut this off about 1.5 lengths from here, and okay, we've got to the 14th row now. This is done just a little bit differently. You just flip it around with the E-loop stitch on that middle peg, and then bring both the outside peg here and the middle peg, bring the bottom one over, and then we're gonna bring this in to where it's loose right there, and get it as tight as you can right there, and then bring it on down. That peg I'm using in the middle doesn't have the little holes that go into the bottom. It makes it easier to, although it's harder to do the loop, you can do it tight and tighten it every time you go around. And now we're going to cut this part right here. And then we can use this to go down and through this E-loop stitch here. And bring it back up through the groove there. And now we can take it right off that E-loop stitch, and we can turn this around so we can do the second leg. And then we can just take this down here and just cinch it off around this little end peg here, so that it'll kind of be out of the road while we're doing the other leg. Now we're ready to start the other leg. Okay, now we're ready to bring these two E-loops together from the first and the second leg. And so we're going to take this one that we held back here, and we're going to put it over the middle E-loop peg, and we're going to try to keep that E-loop in. And the best way to do that is kind of to bring that under. It's a little tricky, but if you can bring that under the little lip and then bring it across, then you'll get that both E-loops in there. We're through with that now, except for bringing it back in. So we're going to do the straight stitch down to where we can use a needle, and we'll use a needle now to combine those two loops that are over that center peg and kind of fill in a little bit. Okay, we finished there, and now we're going to take and thread the needle into this tail from the first leg. We always go down through. Now there is a slot right there, so we can go down through both of those loops with the needle and bring it out. Make sure that the loop here doesn't get caught on anything. And now we're coming back out and we're going down through the loop here over this peg. And if we tighten that, you'll see that kind of causes a V. We're going down again on the other side because we want that to be a little triangle. So see, that's gone across now and it's made a triangle. And now we're going to go over the other side and do the same thing. We're going to go across and down through this peg, through the groove that's in the peg. Now we've got that to where we can come back through both loops again over here. and through that groove, and then back over to the other side. And bring it through without catching on all these other pegs. And now we're beginning to form that V again. That will turn into a triangle. Every time I go through a loop, it's going from top to bottom. And you don't undo anything if you're always going in that same direction. Okay, now we want to go across these other two pegs. We're through with the needle now, but we're making it just one more strand of yarn in there to fill in better. And then we're going to go across. We're remaining on the first leg, and we're just going to go a few places, kind of keeping it in the mode of cinch strap, even though it's not. And then we're going to just bind it all off by going around and around through the groove. This ties a knot. You'll find a lot of times when you're sewing things, you'll just go around and around that same loop in order to tie a knot when you're sewing, and this is the same principle. It's just going around and around in that same loop, so that essentially it forms the knot. We'll just go 4 or 5 times, and then this will leave a little tail for us to fill holes and things. And from the rest of the way up, we'll just be doing the whole thing rather than the legs, because now we've tied the body together.
Many have helped with this video, but I want to mention at least my wife Miriam and Marcia, who were very helpful.